welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be exposing my deepest, darkest secrets and sharing with you guys a list of books that I ashamedly have not actually read. So I think we can all relate to the idea of having way more books on our shelves than we could probably ever possibly read in a lifetime. Unless you're one of those like super responsible people that only buys books as they finishes them and they go on book buying bans and they actually stick to them and have gumption and all those other good qualities that I do not possess. I have sitting in front of me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that I have not read, and I feel badly about it. These are 6 books on my shelf that like are ones that are higher up on my priority list than others. I do not set a TBR. I do not make like a to be read list and stick really hard to it because I'm a mood reader. It's just not really how my brain works, unfortunately. The best part about having a book collection is always having different things to choose from. I'm recording this video in early September, so I don't know when this is going to be published on YouTube. Maybe, just fingers crossed, maybe I will have read more of these than I have not read, which would be exciting. Who knows? Not I, sir. Basically, I will just show you the books and maybe read the blurbs or tell you what they're about, and you can let me know if you've read any of them. What did you think? Should I read some of them sooner than others? I would be interested in hearing your thoughts. I would like to also point out that because I have not read these does not mean I do not want to read them. They're on my shelf, which means I do want to read them at some point, and this is nothing against the authors or the books themselves or the stories or anything like that. I bought them with the intention of reading them. I just haven't gotten around to it yet because life is so crazy and I am crazy. So first up on this list are 2 books by Katrina D. Hamill, and it is the Court of the Tetrarch series. The first book is Joanna, and the second book is Wife of Chusa. And these 2, first of all, are just stunningly beautiful. They are New Testament era biblical fiction. They're stunning. They look beautiful. I adore the covers. I adore the like vibes and the back cover blurbs. The back cover for book 1 says, Joanna must pay the price for her brother's crime. Claimed as a hostage, she's forced from the verdant slopes of her beloved vineyard to serve Herod Antipas's neglected wife. In an opulent palace where Roman culture supersedes the commands of God, Joanna struggles to express her Jewish faith. Despite her misgivings, she is swept into the adventure of traveling with the court and conflicted by her feelings towards the enigmatic man who took her captive. As the royal marriage fractures, she is caught in the crossfire, and her choice will alter the fates of those she loves. When rumors whisper that a man from Nazareth travels the roads of Galilee, healing and proclaiming the kingdom of God, Joanna yearns to follow. When it becomes impossible to leave the palace, she begins to fear her role in an earthly court will cost her place in the heavenly one. So vibes are everything I love. This just sounds right up my alley, like my favorite kind of thing to read. And then the second book, the prophet has Joanna's unfaltering loyalty, but offering support is risky when she's under the suspicious eye of the Tetrarch's jealous wife. Joanna and her husband Chusa must use their unique position to shield the prophet and allow him to gather his supporters, navigating between the astonishing wonders in Galilee and the intrigues plaguing the royal court. Joanna must apply her influence in both spheres to handle the complications of her revolutionary brother and give her young ward hope and a future. But as Jesus' mission escalates, so does the risk. As a malicious enemy forces Joanna and Chusa apart, the ruling powers unite to bring Jesus down, and more than one life hangs in the balance. So a couple things that I love about this book. It's New Testament era fiction. I love that. It's so good. I'm so excited to read these books, and reading the summaries just reminds me how excited. The books themselves are gorgeous, so well done. The spines, the back cover, everything about the design and the layout is pristine. And there's also going to be a 3rd book in this series as well, so if I want to read all 3, I really need to get a move on here and keep up with it. Both of these covers are beautiful, but I think the second one is just like my personal fave. The next one is When the Rivers Swell by Sierra A. Elliott, an untold story of the Exodus. And if you know me, then you'll know that I love two things. I love New Testament era fiction and I love Exodus fiction and pretty much anything in between, but New Testament and Exodus are specifically like some favorites of mine. And I actually have started this one, but then some other things came up and it just kind of remained unfinished. So if I were to read it again, I'd probably have to go back to the beginning, but that's okay because I wasn't that far into it in the first place. But what I did read, I did enjoy. The back cover, summary, synopsis, blurb thing, whatever you want to call it, says, rivers of blood, hordes of frogs, the wrath of God on earth. Hannah has lived her life as a farmer's daughter in ancient Egypt, taught by her Hebrew parents to fear the Egyptians. She soon finds herself mixed up with a dangerous group of rebels fighting to free her people from slavery. Meanwhile, Anip's wealthy Egyptian family has just moved to Pi-Ramesses, unaware of the growing upheaval. Things go from bad to worse when a mysterious man named Moses arrives from the desert and calls down a series of deadly plagues. After the girls meet, they must decide if their budding and unlikely friendship will end in disaster or be their salvation. Doesn't that just sound like the most interesting plot? There's so many things that I love about that plot, but mainly the thing that I love the most is just that the characters are fictional, experiencing historical events, and that's my favorite kind of historical fiction, is not necessarily historical fiction that like is from the perspective of a historical figure, but historical fiction that kind of just imagines like what regular people or people in different positions would have experienced during this historical event, because that's something that I think we can all relate to, is, you know, what it's like to just be kind of an ordinary person and how that would have played out. Like, man, if I had lived back then, what would I have been going through? How would I have reacted? What would have been my job? What would I have done? So I love that kind of like slice of life, ordinary people experiencing extraordinary things kind of fiction. And I loved the kind of descriptions of the two main characters and just what we know about them from the back cover blurb. I also love that that blurb did not give too much away. And I'm guilty of this too in my own publishing and books, because it's really hard to write a good blurb that sells your story without giving away the story. And I felt like this author did a really good job with their blurb. It just looks like a really good, intriguing story. And to make matters worse, I've heard nothing but good things about it, so that's how you know that it's got to be really interesting. Basically, the more I talk in this video, the more I feel like a failure. And the last three books in this series are by Naomi Craig, and I know Naomi Craig. I've talked to her, I've chatted to her before. She's amazing. I feel really bad that I have not had like the time to read these books, but I just have consistently had a lot on my plate, and being a mood reader, I just never know when I'm gonna be in the mood for something. All of these have covers that draw me in and are like stunning examples of design. So let's get into it. The first one is called Rahab's Courage. The second one is called Ezekiel's Song. And the third one is called Shira's Legacy. And this one, you guys, look at that green. Look at that beautiful green on the cover. It's my favorite color. So I just am so excited. And here's what they look like all together. They are quite like thick, heavy books with many, many pages, and that may also be why I haven't gotten around to reading them as quickly as I want to, because I believe the first book is 507 something pages. So that's quite a lot, and I want to be able to take my time and enjoy it, but I've definitely been going for maybe like shorter, smaller, easier to consume books more recently, just as I've had less time to read, but I definitely want to get into these. This one is obviously a Rahab retelling. The tagline for it is "A scarlet cord tethers one ruined woman to the salvation of mankind." This one has to do with Ezekiel. Tagline for this one is "A prophet's heart broken, a woman's joy gone. What does Yahweh have planned for his people?" And this one says, "A tragedy ravages the camp. Can Shira step up and complete the outpost? Shira is a woman trying to leave her mark in a man's world. Her vision and ability surpasses her father's, yet she remains second in command as they are tasked to build Pharaoh's outposts in Canaan. She knows she is worthy of the task, but her clan is skeptical. The last place Shira expects support is from her charioteer here, but Latif is the lone voice of encouragement. His integrity and steadfastness is a plumb line in Shira's life, and she can no longer deny her growing feelings for him. Acts of sabotage threaten the construction and the shaky foundation of Shira's pride. It's up to Shira to break generations of rivalry, distrust, and jealousy if she can learn to rely on the strengths and abilities of those around her to help. These are technically published as a series, but I do know that you can read them all as standalone, so if one interests you more than another, you could totally bounce around and read them, because they're all, they're not connected necessarily by plots. They don't have like a chronological order or anything like that, so that's super fun and means that, lucky for me, I can probably read them out of order, which as a mood reader is a good thing, because maybe if one draws me faster than another, I'll hopefully kind of knock these out a little bit quicker. Yeah, all of these really interest me, and I really want to read them as quickly as possible. So we'll see how soon I get that done. Thank you for joining me on this rant of why I am a failure of a book person. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. You can find out more information about me here on this card on the screen, or if you'd like, you can visit the description box below where there are links to my website, social media, and my own books, because I am also a published author of the Generations of Faith series. If you've read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts. I want to chat about them, because that's what makes reading so fun, is reading books and talking about them with friends and getting recommendations. So if you have ideas on which one I should read first, please let me know. I cannot guarantee that I will follow through with your advice, but what's the harm in trying, right? Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!